So it's that glorious time of the year again, E3, when we talk about all of the world's biggest video game announcements on arguably the biggest stage of them all. And E3 this year has been interesting so far. I haven't really decided if I'm going to review every press conference, maybe just the ones that interest me. If you want my review of the EA press conference, I gave it a D, as in suck my D, because I was bored out of my mind. But today was Microsoft. Microsoft just finished up, and there was a lot of stuff to talk about. There was a lot of interesting things. So I decided to just go over some of my highlights and lowlights of the Microsoft event and tell you guys why Microsoft convinced me to buy an Xbox One S, not an Xbox One X. One area that I feel the Xbox One has sort of lost its way in is in the world of console exclusives. The Xbox One has been losing console exclusives, games like Scalebound and whatnot, and I felt that that was one of the problems with the Xbox One. Now, Microsoft did a fantastic job this E3 of changing that sort of mindset. They presented a whole bunch of console exclusive games. Yes, they are available on PC, but I'm not a PC gamer. So if I go into wanting to play these games, I have to play them on the Xbox One. And one of those games, of course, is Anthem. Anthem looked phenomenal. I'm really interested in that game, honestly. It looks like sort of a hybrid of Mass Effect with Gears of War and a touch of Destiny in there. It looks like a really interesting and promising game. Definitely a game that was not on my radar, but now I'm interested in it. You know, I'm not ready to herald it as the greatest thing ever, but it's definitely something interesting and definitely something to look forward to. Another game that looks phenomenal, we have seen it before, is of course Cuphead. Cuphead looks great. I think that that's going to be a really special game that's really interesting. You know, Cuphead has just sort of had this charm to it the entire time it's been in development. It looks like one of those old cartoons, you know, the original cartoons. So I'm really looking forward to that. Games like State of Decay 2 looks pretty cool. You know, there's a lot of interesting games, and unfortunately, I actually soured on one of these games during the presentation, and that was Sea of Thieves. I don't really know what's going on with that game, but it looks nothing like I thought it would. It looks very slow and plodding, and for a presentation that was supposed to be, you know, always hyping up the Xbox One X, which we will talk about at the end of this video, the game itself looks pretty bad, I thought. The art style just seems to be all over the place. A lot of things didn't have textures. The character models looked atrocious. I'm really concerned for that game now. The gameplay looks average at best, and I just feel like that game is not going to be as good as people want it to be. And that's a shame. Another game that I think a lot of people are into, but me personally I'm not into, is Crackdown 3. I'm not a fan of the Crackdown series. I've tried to play the original games and I just never really got into it, but it was cool to see Crackdown 3 because I know that there is a following for that game. So all in all, I thought the games that they showed were a mixed bag, but there was definitely a lot of positives. There's definitely a lot of highlights. And they showed games, they showed exclusives, which to me was very important. Now, one of the interesting things about this press conference was the addition of original Xbox games coming to the Xbox One library. You'll be able to do backwards compatibility with the original Xbox, and I think that's cool. Like, that's neat. But the crowd reaction was ridiculous. Like, I almost feel like they sort of told them to freak out. Like, you know, they had one of those big applause signs above them and everyone was like, "Arr, arr, arr, arr." Like, we're talking about original Xbox games in 2017. Like, the original Xbox library was good. There was a lot of great, you know, Sega games on there, but there's probably maybe 25 to 50 games that I would really want to revisit again. So, nice addition, obviously, you know, sort of a backhand at Sony for their comments about backwards compatibility not being a huge thing, but just kind of strange. That was definitely a strange crowd reaction that I wasn't anticipating, you know, but if I do invest in an Xbox One, this will be one of the features I will use to play Shenmue 2 again and all of the awesome Sega games that released on the original Xbox. But the real meat of the conversation, the real meat of the press conference was, of course, the unveiling of the Xbox One X. So now you have the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and the Xbox One X. I don't like the name. X and S are pretty similar, you know, when you say them X, S, X, X. Like say it 10 times fast. It's like impossible. But really, the system did absolutely nothing for me. First and foremost, it's $500, making it the most expensive console on the market. Second, the really only things it's bringing to the table is 4K resolution and the potential for VR down the road as well, which are, you know, they're small sort of segments of gaming. You know, there's over 60 million PS4 sold. They just finally passed 1 million VR units sold. So is that really a market that people are looking into? The PS4 Pro system sales haven't been all that great, and that had some 4K in it. And, you know, I don't know. I think that the whole console is a misstep. I think the console is just unneeded, because after this presentation, I thought to myself, you know, I kind of want an Xbox One S now, because there's a lot of interesting exclusive games coming to the Xbox One now. There's back catalog of games like Sunset Overdrive. I'll be able to play my original Xbox and 360 games all on one device, which is pretty convenient. But why would I want an Xbox One X? There's no reason. It's $500. The Xbox One S is $250. I could buy 2 of those for the price of this just to have 4K gaming. Like, is that really that big of a deal? I don't think it is. And I think if Microsoft would have just kept pushing the Xbox One S and had all these games, they would have knocked it out of the park. They would have had Sony and Nintendo paying very strong attention to them, and they would have a good chance of bringing that Xbox One brand back. But as it stands right now, if you're gonna spend that $500, you might as well look into buying, you know, building a PC, because you could play a lot of these games, most of these games, on your PC. So the Xbox One S is on my radar. For $250, it's pretty much a no-brainer, but the Xbox One X at $500 with very minimal incremental upgrades, I'm sorry, Microsoft, but you messed up there. All in all, if I had to grade Microsoft's press conference, I would give it a solid B-. There was definitely a lot of games shown. There was definitely a lot of interesting games shown. Some games did disappoint, like Sea of Thieves, but the Xbox One X just really hurt their presentation, in my opinion. It's better than EA's press conference by light years, and it definitely sets an interesting precedent for upcoming conferences, but I am not sold on the Xbox One X, and from what I've seen on social media, a lot of people just aren't that interested in it. Let me know what you thought of the Xbox Microsoft presentation in the comments section down below. Thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're growing every day. I'm really excited of how this channel is growing. Make sure you hit that like button. And of course, leave me your comments in the comment section down below. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.